Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. I'm a business relationship consultant for female entrepreneurs. So basically what that means is I help you grow your business in a way that is faster, simpler, and more fun than anything that you've tried before. We do it through creating genuine connections and growing authentic relationships, whether that's with your clients, your potential clients, referral partners, collaborative partners, whatever it is. And however you want to do it, I help you do it in the most effective way and in a way that feels good to you. So one of the ways that I do that is through my virtual speed networking events, which I host twice a month. The link to join us at one of those is in the show notes. They're super, super fun. But my pride and joy, my passion, where all of my time and heart goes for the most part, is into the Powerful Women Rising community. This is a group for female entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses together. So we do a lot of different things, combining just the right amount of mindset and business strategy in a supportive community of other women. And it's a game changer. It's everything that I wish I would have had when I was getting started in business. So if you are interested in checking that out, I will put the link for that in the show notes as well. That being said, let's dig into today's episode. Today, I am interviewing one of my good friends, Melanie Childers. She is a master coach. She works with feminist entrepreneurs, helping them grow and scale their online businesses. And she is just a lovely human being. Her and I have very similar experiences in the coaching industry and very similar perspectives now in terms of integrity and ethics or lack thereof in some of the coaching spaces. And there's a lot of important conversations that are starting to happen around that space. So you don't necessarily have to be a coach to benefit from this conversation. What we're talking about today is your relationship with breaking the rules. And there's a lot of different rules in business. There's a lot of different rules in life, right? They come from a lot of different places. So there is something in this episode for everybody. And there are really some important points for you to start thinking about in terms of why you're doing things the way that you're doing things, and if you actually want to be doing them that way, or if you're just doing them that way because you think that's what the rules say you have to do. So let me introduce you to Melanie. Melanie Childers is a master business coach for values-led coaches, course creators, and CEOs. She helps you grow and scale to multiple 6 and 7 figures with her simple evergreen process. Together, you will disrupt internalized patriarchy and hustle culture so you can build a successful business that supports you and your community without burning out. Yes, all of that is possible, and Melanie will show you how. So here is my interview about your relationship with breaking the rules with Melanie Childers. Hello, Melanie. Welcome to the Your Relationship With podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I can't wait to dive in.
I know. I'm so excited to chat with you. I'm trying, for those who are listening and not watching on YouTube, trying really hard to concentrate on you, but you have all these like cool things in the background to look at. So I'm like totally listening to you, but I'm not looking at you at all because I'm secretly reading all your book titles.
I have lots.
I love it. I love it.
I have a bit of a self-help book obsession. So
I was just talking to Amy Lotta the other day. She posted a picture of her like bookshelf. And I was like, one day I'm going to make a life coach school Barbie and she's going to come with like half of these books.
It's a fact.
Okay, here we go. So we are talking today about your relationship with breaking the rules. Before we dive in, tell everybody a little bit about you and about your relationship with breaking the rules.
Oh my goodness. Well, first off, I'm Melanie Childers. Hello. I am a certified master coach and I help feminist entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses aligned with their values without wearing themselves out. That is a big value of mine, that we do not exhaust ourselves. That doesn't mean we don't work hard, but not to the point of like what the patriarchy would like us to do, getting up before everybody else and going to bed after everybody else and only thinking about work. No, thank you. Hard pass. I've done it. I didn't like it. Done. Breaking that rule. But yeah, my relationship with breaking the rules like started at a pretty young age. That said, I was very much like a rule follower and a people pleaser. And then my parents got divorced. And I think that like trauma of my parents getting divorced when I was 7 and my mom getting remarried when I was 11 to someone who was a lovely man, but he was also military and was like, you will eat dinner at the table and you will ask to be excused and you will go to your room and you will do these things. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's a lot of rules.
And I was like, this doesn't sound fun. I didn't sign up for the military. No, thank you. So yeah, I was sneaking out of the house, running away, drinking and smoking by the age of 12, hanging out with much older kids who frankly should have known better.
Mm-hmm.
But they were the best bad influences. And that's not to say that like I maintained my grades, but I did almost fail 7th and 8th grades because I was just like, nope, middle fingers up. Bye. Yeah. I don't care. I'm out, whatever. And that even like followed me a little bit into college. I ended up, I had a scholarship and I had a state lottery funded grant that put me through school. But, when I ended up in hard times and paying my bills, like I went to exotic dancing. I was like, well, if we're going to go, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go make $500 tonight. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've always been a little bit of a, I'm from the South. I was raised in the South. I was raised Southern Baptist. And so like, there's all of that like good girl seeding, but there's also like, and
the rebel soul underneath.
The rebel soul underneath. And like, I will not be caged. I will not be bound. And like one of my hardest learnings as someone who loves self-help and loves coaching is getting myself to do things that I don't want to do because I will break my own damn rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whoa. And so like getting that part of me on in collaboration with the parts of me that want to go somewhere other than just breaking the rules because fuck you, you made a rule. that has been probably the biggest journey of, the last couple of years, but it's been really worth it. Like, yeah. We're good friends now. Those two parts of me.
How do you find that balance between the people pleaser and the person who wants to follow all the rules and do all the things that you're supposed to do and the person that wants to like not follow the rule, even if it's a good rule that you secretly want to follow, but you're like, I'm not following it because someone told me to?
I think that you do have to work at finding that balance. And I think, an imbalance is like when you people please to a point that you get utterly pissed off or burned out by it. And then you're like middle fingers up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like finding the place where it's like, okay, there are rules that I want to follow on purpose that will help me get the things that I want in life. So like for me, it was like, I want to run a business and that means I have to be my own boss. That means I have to do what I tell myself to do. And I'm the first person to give the middle finger to like, fuck you and your plan. Haha, that's cute. And so like finding underneath is like the why you want to do the thing and why you want to reach, if it's a goal or if it's like follow a rule or whatever it is, you have to really connect to a deep, deep longing. And what I found is really helpful is like when I can see the value, like the personal value as it relates to me, not the value of the goal, but like the value that it's fulfilling in my life, then I can get my inner rebel on board. So like for one thing is like, I really value freedom. My inner rebel is like, that's why she refuses to be put into a cage. She's like, don't tell me what to do. Don't cut me off from any avenues of freedom. And so I was like, okay, well, if I really want to have, $1 million business, what freedom is that going to give me? How can I connect that to that thing that I value so much to help get the part of me that's like, fuck your rules on the same team as the part of me that wants to go after that goal. And so like finding the why, finding the value that connects, and then having compassion for every time I want to rebel against the rules has been a huge thing because it's like, of course you do. This is the way that you grew up. This was your automatic response. This is the way that you learn to operate. And the yes, and, and I want this thing. And this also aligns with my values. And I'm going to enjoy it so much when I get there. So I have to find a lot of extra ands and a lot of compassion with the, of course, and I love you. Of course you want to rebel. I love you. It's okay. And we want to go over here. Right. And it's okay if you're going to kick and scream for a minute. You're allowed. Let's fucking kick and scream about it.
But we're still going over there.
And we're going.
Yeah. I think it depends too. Like as we're having this conversation about rules, I'm thinking about like, what are the rules actually, right? Because there's a lot of different interpretations and a lot of different spaces where we find rules. It could be the rules that you've made for yourself that have come maybe from your parents, that have come from your own experiences. And like you've made a rule to avoid having another experience like the one you had before. Could be rules that have come to you from spaces that you have learned in, or spaces that you've been coached in, or from people that you follow that you think, oh, she knows all the rules and all the things to do about how to be successful. And so there's a lot of different rules, quote unquote, for those who can't see me, that we're talking about. But I also think the relationship with the rules changes, right? Like I think about myself in the beginning of business, and I was all about following the rules because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, or at least I believed that I didn't. And so it was like, I knew how to coach. I knew I was a good coach, but I didn't know shit about business. And so when I found somebody that was like, hi, I know everything about business. For $25,000, I will tell you all the rules of how you also can make six figures. And I was like, great. Here's my $25,000. Tell me all the rules. I will follow them all. And this is, I mean, I won't take us down this entire rabbit hole, but this is also when we get really jacked up, because then it's like, okay, I paid you my money. I followed all your rules. I still didn't get the result. So now my relationship with these rules is even more like convoluted and confused. And is it me? Is it the rules? Is it you? What is going wrong here? So talk a little bit about how the relationship with rules changes.
Yeah, I think that that's such a fascinating place to dive in. And what I noticed for myself was that I already had a fucked up relationship with the rules. And when I would go into like, let's say like a mentor's group, because the thing is, when we're just starting a business and we don't know how to really run a business. I had run a business before I started a coaching business, but it was a product-based business. They're different, but they're not different because like in a services-based business, you're selling yourself ultimately. And in a product-based business, you're selling a product. And so it was a lot easier to just like, hey, I love knitting. I love yarn. Buy my yarn. It's cool. Right. Like there was no like drama about like, but am I worth it? Am I worth the investment? Am I going to do it all? Am I good enough?
Right. But, and if someone's like, this yarn sucks, you're like, okay, well,
okay,
I didn't make that yarn.
Color. I don't care.
Bye.
Or sorry, you have bad taste. But
yeah,
that's really great yarn. So, but it changes when you are the face of your business and when you are the service. Your services are what they're buying. But when you start out and you don't know how to make a business run, I think there's value in knowing what you need to know. There are skills you need to build. I wouldn't call them rules to follow, but there are skills that you need to build. So you need to learn how to market. You need to learn how to message. You need to learn how to sell. You need to learn how to get people to opt into your free thing. You need to learn how to start an email list or like create a course, or like there's so much learning to do, especially in online business. And so you do need to know the basics of here's the framework, here's how it all works. But what we tend to find is that we get to this place of desperation where like, somebody just teach me exactly what to do and I will do it. I was in that place too. I was like, just teach me exactly what to say, exactly how often to market, exactly how to sell, exactly how to make this business go.
Yeah.
So that I can make money and quit my day job and the other job I was working. And when we're looking for someone who teaches us an exact thing, they're going to say, okay, but you're going to do it exactly this way. There will be no diversions for the most part. I'm speaking very generally here. This does not apply across the board, but for the most part, they want you to follow their exact process so that they can help you and teach you through that exact process, which is not about a business that you want to have, which is fine. But I think that there's a lot of value in learning what works and then figuring out, okay, but what of that do I not want to do? Or what do I want to custom tailor for the way that I want to run my business? And so I spent a lot of time learning, quote unquote, what works in a very specific high ticket container, also $25,000.
Coincidentally.
coincidentally or not. And what I learned was that I spent so much time chafing against the exact right way that I was supposed to do things that I was like, you know what? I don't want to run my business like this. And I want to figure out what works for me. And I need to start breaking the rules and finding all of the unwritten rules that I had just absorbed in my mind and made them like, this is the way, like the Mandalorian, right? And like, okay, what of those things do I need to decide this is not the way anymore? Or maybe it is, but just pieces of it, maybe not all of it. How do I want to restructure my entire business and the entire way that I think about business? So it took me in truth, like a solid year, and a year later after that, I'm still working through like the rebuild of what do I actually want this to be?
Yeah. I feel like there's a huge level of self-trust required to get to that space where you
100%.
are comfortable and safe breaking some of those rules. And I think that's sometimes why we search out those rules, because we don't trust ourselves. And so it's like, okay, somebody tell me how to do this, because I don't trust whatever ideas I have for how to do it, which is part of the reason why we all want to stab ourselves in the eyeballs when a coach says, if you did know the answer, what would it be? And you're like, I don't fucking know still.
Girl, like teach me some fucking how in here, like teach me some strategy so I know what to do. And then like, just give me some options and then I can pick them instead of like, well, if you did know, well, if I did fucking know, I wouldn't be here.
Right. And I'd still have $25,000.
Right.
Okay. Maybe we should do a whole other episode of like your relationship with shit coaches say that makes you want to stab yourself in the eyeball.
100%.
Okay. Tune in for that later. I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh yeah. Self-trust. So I think for me, that was a big part of that transition to getting to a space where it almost happened like immediately, this like ray of light from the heavens. It was like, and all of a sudden I was like, why am I looking to all these other people to tell me how I should do this? Like, it's so obvious, but for years and years, I'd been like, okay, tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. I'll pay you to tell me how to do it. You tell me how to do it, right? Because I don't know. And it's not that I didn't get anything from those experiences. Of course, I learned things. I learned things that I still do today. I learned things that I don't do today. But there was also an element of when it came to that point that I was like, I think I know the answers. Like, I think I know what's best for me. I think I know what's best for my clients. I think I know what's best for my business. And to be able to trust that is a big part of what helped me let go of those quote unquote rules of how I was supposed to be doing things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in my experience, there is a lot of trust that is built in the skill building. When you learn how to sell, when you learn how to market, when you learn how to message. And that comes from trying things, learning something, trying it, tweaking, trying, having it work. Oh, and now having it work and having it work over and over and over again. That self-trust is built in the execution, in the implementation of what you learn. And I think that there is so much, like my brain wants to use the word nuance, but that's not actually what I mean. But like there's so much variation in the way that every business looks. Like no business is exactly identical to another business, even if they've copied a mentor's model almost word for word. Like you still have your unique perspectives. You still have your unique clients. You still have your unique value and differentiators, the things that make your services and your offers different in the marketplace. And so I do think that there's value in figuring out what works so that then you can break off and figure out what you want to use that works. And so it's like learn the rules so you can break them. I think of like Picasso, right? Like he had to learn how to paint before he could paint like Picasso and break all the damn rules and blow our minds.
Right. Yeah. Why do you think it's so hard for people, especially women, to feel like they can break the rules?
Honestly, I think it's societal conditioning. I think it's us living in a patriarchy and swimming in the waters of this is what women are supposed to do and this is what women are supposed to behave like and look like. And it's so much easier for us to make other people happy if we're following the rules. And it is much easier to avoid all of the negative feedback and the criticism by following the rules, by just having someone hand us a framework or a strategy that works. I mean, that's why I sought them out. I was like, somebody just teach me how to do it, and then I'll learn it, and then I will be successful. And no one can come at me. No one can criticize me. Nobody can say I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. And I won't have to feel any bad feelings in the process.
Right. And I won't have to feel shame or rejection or fear or anxiety. And it's like, I hate to break it to you all of those come with the roadmap. They all come with the roadmap. You cannot avoid them, even if you have the perfect business abiding rule, strategy, structure, whatever.
Totally.
All the feelings are going to come with the ride. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that's a big reason why we're so drawn to the rules, is like, who can make this happen the quickest, the easiest, the simplest, and with the least amount of pain and discomfort possible.
Yep.
And if you can promise me those things, then I'll give you all the money to tell me the rules.
Yeah. And I think it's a human brain thing too, right? Like, think about the motivational triad. Why do we do anything? Is seek pleasure, avoid pain. And what was the other one?
I don't know. One. I've only ever known two.
Sex. I don't know.
I was really excited to find out what the third one was after all these years.
I can't remember. I'll come up with it after you finish recording.
Okay, I'll just add it in the show notes real quick.
Yeah. Seek pleasure, avoid pain, minimize effort.
There you go.
Minimize effort. And yeah, I mean, the same is true with when we come to looking for, like, just tell me the rules to follow for business. I want to seek pleasure. So I want to have success as fast as possible. I want to avoid the pain of failure, and I want to minimize my effort. So make it easy for me. That's why people want, like, I just want to make money in my sleep. Okay, but you got to do a lot of work first. You're going to do that work? What? No, I just want passive income.
Right.
Well, passive income is a lie unless you have a big ass audience. Are you willing to do the work to get that big ass audience? If not, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a pipe dream.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of my business is about helping female entrepreneurs be comfortable with their authenticity and be themselves. And a big thing that I talk about a lot is, like, networking has gotten so weird because so many people, women in particular, feel like they have to show up a certain way. So it's not even necessarily just the rules of, like, here's how you grow a business. There's a lot of different rules too, right? Like, here's how you be a good mom, but still have a business. Here's how you be a good woman, but still have a business. And here's how you should look if you're a successful business owner. Here's how you should act. Here's how you should present yourself when you go to these networking events, right? And that, honestly, I think is a big reason why people have gotten so weird. Like, so many people I know are so anti networking events because everybody's so, like, sleazy and salesy and weird. And we all have our, like, successful female entrepreneur mask on, like, being the person that we think that we're supposed to be. And that's also an aspect of breaking the rules too, is, like, just allowing yourself to show up and be who you are and be okay with that. Like, I was just telling somebody this story on an interview I was doing earlier today. I run these virtual speed networking events twice a month, and I had one yesterday, and I think I'm really funny. And so, like, for the first 10 minutes, I'm talking about something, and I am funny like 12 times in my own mind. And I said something about, there are going to be people who are going to love you. There are going to be people who are not going to love you. And being okay with that is part of the process. And I said, I was like, I'm sure there are people who have never met me before that are like, oh my gosh, this lady's so funny. And I'm sure there are people on this call who are like, this lady is so fucking stupid. Why does she think she's so funny? And I was like, I just want those people to know, like, I don't get more funny as time goes on. Like, if you're not amused by now, you're not going to be amused. And I looked down at the little participant thing, and it's like, D, like,
you're done.
We started at 47. We ended at 43. It's cool though, right? Because those 4 people were never going to think I was funny. They were never going to get to a place where they were like, oh my God, I love this chick. I'm buying everything she's selling. And
Yeah.
that is part of breaking the rules, right? Is being comfortable being whoever you're going to be and letting the quote unquote consequences of that be what they're going to be, right?
Yeah. And I think that that comes with letting go of all of the shoulds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you make a list of all the ways that you quote unquote should show up in your business or should show up to networking,
Mm-hmm.
or the way that you should look like a successful quote unquote entrepreneur, like what are all of your expectations of what that is?
Yeah.
And does that match who you actually are? Does
Right.
that match the way that you see yourself at that level? Like I thought I definitely had this and had to unwind all of this for myself because I followed some mentors who they show up to events on stage in like $5,000 dresses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that girl. I wear ripped jeans. Period. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And like joggers and like leather jackets and stripper heels, right? Like that's how I show up. I show up in studded heels, right? I'm like, I'm that girl. And like there's a polished version of that that is more true to me than the vision of success that they were painting for me. But I thought I was supposed to fit into that box. I thought I was supposed to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of fucked with my head for a little while because ultimately I was being somebody that I wasn't. And I was like, okay, if I were to roll this back and to just be who I am, just be the version of me that is successful, that does speak on stage, and that feels at home in her skin and at home in her clothes. I'm never going to feel, I mean, it's got to be like a princess ball gown that makes me feel like $1 million for me to wear it, first of all. But what makes me feel like the successful version of that I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And she still wears ripped jeans and studded heels on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that at one of my group mastermind events and like shared pictures, there were so many people who were like, oh, thank God you did not show up in like a Chloe or a Gucci or a, YSL jumpsuit. Thank you for being a real person, wearing ripped jeans, wearing what you would wear every day. And I was like, yeah, the level up is my Louboutins that have the studs on them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm wearing what I would wear.
Yeah. Listen, I'm still in my Target flip flop. So
same. Hi. Hello. I'm in my most comfortable Vuori dress. Vuori makes dresses. Get one. It's awesome. They're really comfy. But yeah, like I think that there's an element there of being willing to break the rules and being willing to stand out and really represent who you truly are and the authenticity of that in your specific way, right? Like there's no point in you looking like everybody else, especially this is so hard in business because in business, you have to stand out. And we've all been taught, no, you need to fit in. And that's why I think business is such a mindfuck for so many people, because we have been taught, be nice, be good, be polite, don't rock any boats, go along to get along, make sure everybody's happy. And in business, it's the exact opposite. No, you want to piss people off. You want some people to leave your sphere, to know that they are not your people. You want to stand out. You want to make waves. You want to have big opinions and shout them from the rooftops. And it can be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's the work, the mental work that we have to do to break the rules. It's like, okay, what rules out here do I think I'm supposed to follow? And how can I break them so that I can be my most real self and have the most real business that honors me and my values?
This is such a good and important conversation, I think, especially in the world that we are living in now. There's a lot going on in the coaching space. There's a lot going on just in business in general, right? Like, I don't know. I'm reading the book Hey Hun right now. I don't know if you've read it about
I listened to it last
network
month.
marketing. And so between reading that book, kind of following a lot of the things that are going on in the coaching space, and especially in some of the spaces that you and I have come from, and then just following what's going on with a lot of my clients and building their businesses, I think we are reaching a point where things are about to shift rather dramatically. At least I hope that we are. And, part of that I see, like, when I run these networking events, and the first thing I say to people is like, nobody wants to hear your elevator pitch. forget your 30-second commercial. And they're so freaked out because they just paid somebody $500 to help them craft their 30-second commercial, right? And they have the best 30-second commercial, and they've been practicing it in the car to and from the grocery store for the past 6 months. And now you're telling them nobody wants to hear your 30-second commercial. And they're like, I don't know what the fuck to say if it's not my 30-second commercial. But this is what I think I see happening more and more in businesses, this shift from like, talk all the ways that everybody told you to do it. How do you want to do it? Who are you really? Who are you trying to talk to? And how do you want to talk to them? And I think it's been a while since people were really asking those questions and allowing people the space to answer them honestly. Do you see that in your spaces also?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's
I'm
a lot
excited
of like,
for it.
yeah, there's a lot of like, I don't want to run my business like that. I want to run it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can ask the questions like, okay, is that going to serve your clients the best? Is that going to create the lifestyle that you want? Is it going to be profitable? What are the pieces that need to run behind the scenes so that that can run for you the way that you want it to?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make better CEO decisions about how you want to run your business.
Right.
But right, like I think that there are a lot of containers, a lot of like coaching groups and stuff that are like, this is the one and only way, because this is the one way that I know that I learned. And that's the only way that I want to coach. Therefore, you will run your business this way and there will be nothing else. I won't coach you on anything else. And it's like, but that flies in the face of individuality and humanity and business reality. Like, yes, that, and I taught it too, full disclosure. I learned it, I taught it. And then I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm going to change the way that I'm talking about this and the way that I'm teaching this. It may be the fastest path. It may be the most efficient path for some people. And because I'm a firm believer in the yes, and we all get to decide how we want to run our business. What are the really good questions that we need to ask? What are the decision drivers that we need to make decisions on in order to pick the way that we want to run our business? Because if you don't know if it's going to be profitable or if it's actually going to give you the lifestyle that you want, or if you're going to make a decision that's actually going to create more work for you down the line when you didn't intend for that to happen, we need to know ahead of time instead of like, okay, here's one right way and go do it and don't do anything else. You still get to have the life and the business that you want. You just have to do it from a really decisive place and from thinking through, is this going to get me what I think I'm getting?
Mm-hmm. That's very smart. Yeah, because we don't want to just be breaking the rules to break the rules, although that's a good time sometimes. If you're trying to grow a successful business and actually make money, let's maybe do some like calculated breaking of the rules.
Yes. Let's break the rules on purpose.
Yeah, there you go. So if people want to continue this conversation with you, because I think it's a really important conversation, and I love a lot of the things that you post and a lot of the ways that you do business, I'd unfollow you for a little while because I'm warning everyone who's listening, like your messaging is so freaking on point that like every time you post something, I'm like, how do I give you all my money? And then I'm like, okay, I had to unfollow you so I could stop not give you all my money. But if people want to give you all their money.
Thank you for that. That's how I know I'm doing it right.
If people want to give you all their money, or maybe just see your posts that are going to make them want to give you all their money, what's the best way for them to connect with you and continue this conversation with you?
Sure, of course. My website is melaniechilders.com. I have a free Facebook group that is in the top banner. You can also follow me on Facebook at Melanie DC. I am also on Instagram at Melanie Childers Coaching and TikTok at the Melanie Childers. All of those are a little bit different, but just search Melanie Childers. You will find me. I'm impossible to avoid. Will be all up in your business. I also am the host of a podcast called The Bad Bitch Entrepreneur, and you can get me in your ears all the time. I give lots of dope ass advice and good business conversations happening over there too.
You do. You're the best. I think that should be your tagline too. Melanie Childers. You can't get
dope
rid
ass
of me.
Advice.
You can't get rid of me. You can't escape me.
You can't get rid of me. You can't escape.
I love it. Well, I don't want to get rid of you. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and talking about this. I think it's such an important topic. And I think there's a lot of side conversations we could have gone down. So we'll definitely have to have you come back and go down some of those roads.
Oh, yes. You tell me anytime. I'm
Sounds
down.
good.
I will be that petty bee with you.
Okay, I'm here for it. Thank you so much, Melanie. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We've got some really, really good ones coming up. Also, make sure that you leave us a review on Apple so that more people can find this podcast. And if you have a friend that you think would benefit from listening, forward this episode over to her. I'm sure she will love it. I look forward to connecting with you soon at one of our virtual speed networking events. Click the link in the show notes and register. Or if you'd like to join us in the Powerful Women Rising community, there's a link in the show notes for that as well. I'll see you next week.